Good day, YouTubers. Valentine Lowe, in his new book, Courtiers, states that Harry was obsessed with staying relevant over fears that Prince George would overshadow him. Harry was possessed by this long-held fear. Harry feared he had a shelf life and would become irrelevant after Prince George turned 18. Lowe also stated that Harry created the Invictus Games as a bid to avoid irrelevancy and create an enduring legacy as a royal. I, like a lot of people, tend to think that I think of Harry as a good-natured chap, happy-go-lucky and the party prince, and that was his image. He cleaned up his image a lot by joining the military, which he served in for 10 years. 10 years is a pretty long time. I think of him in fairly simplistic terms. Then along comes Meghan, a Svengali in the bedroom with a questionable past. There are questions. Was she married before Trevor Engelson? Does she have a child from another man? We've covered these in previous readings and you can look them up. Did she come into these high circles of society through the yacht girl world? One thing is certain. Meghan is a master of manipulation and control, and many have begun to notice. Here, the Daily Mail points out Meghan controlling Harry with the pat of power, the doting double hand clasp, which hints at ownership, the upper arm grab that subtly signals weight. We constantly see Meghan holding on to Harry's hand and arm to control him. It's easy to look at this and conclude that Meghan is a master manipulator and Harry is her puppet. But even if all this were true, in order for the deception and manipulation to continue with any duration and force, Harry himself must also be motivated by his own obsession with irrelevancy, his shelf life. Little George will someday be king. The line of succession goes Charles, William, and then George. We'll take a look at this in the cards. Is this the true motivation behind Harry's actions? Harry and Meghan are urged not to move to the super exclusive Hope Ranch, as locals fear they will bring a circus to their quiet area after deciding their $14 million Montecito mansion with 9 bedrooms and 16 bathrooms does not properly accommodate them. Meghan brings the circus everywhere she goes. Meghan is the circus. The bubble over my head says they might have already purchased a property in Hope Ranch. Why would you announce that? And they purchase through straw buyers. They purchase through trusts so that people don't drive up the prices. I think we need to look at this. It is being said that Meghan plagiarized her story in her recent podcast with comedian Margaret Cho and Lisa Ling of Kill Bill fame. Essentially, Meghan recounted how her mother took her to a Korean spa as a young girl entering puberty. She felt very embarrassed with being naked and all the various women from 9 to 90 walking around the spa completely nude. She said she just wanted to put on a bathing suit. There's several issues with this story. Number one, Doria was missing from Meghan's life for 10 years before the age of 18. Her father, Thomas, raised her as a single parent, and every afternoon after school, she was on the set of Married with Children, where he was an award-winning Hollywood lighting director. This is how Meghan caught the acting bug. So Doria was specifically absent during this period of Meghan's life. Either she was in prison for fraud, which she was convicted of fraud, or she simply dipped out and went to live in Mexico like a hippie with a shaman, or some combination of both. Groovy, eh? Okay, so during this podcast, Meghan called out Kill Bill for toxic stereotyping of Asian women as dragon ladies. She also slammed Austin Powers as a racist. I mean, this is ridiculous. Austin Powers, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Both of those shows. And they're 20 years old. I mean, everything is racist. Facts are racist. Science is racist. Objective truth is racist. I mean, is this getting tired? Is this working against Meghan, just constantly saying this? Let's get into it. Let's see what the cards want to reveal today. Good day, YouTubers. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joseph Magi, author of Playing Card Divination Fortune Telling, the Magi Method. Find the book worldwide on Amazon and Kindle and paperback versions. Find the full color card deck. used here on Etsy/Magi Method. Let's get right into it. I think this is kind of a key point, Harry's obsession with George and his shelf life. Okay, so maybe Harry is not he's not just a party boy, he's not kind of vapid, he's not, he doesn't just live in his physicality and not think about things. I mean, he's around a lot of very intelligent people, and he had really, really good advisors until Meghan, and I think Meghan has killed off those people or buried them in the desert somewhere. I mean, I don't know. But where are they? They obviously have very poor advisors now. It's really quite strange, the decisions that they're making. And, Harry was somebody who really kind of lived on the edge, and yet he had a stellar reputation. And now he's trying to be everybody's nanny, moralizing at everybody, and wow, it's really not working. So I would think that it would be harder to have a good reputation when he's a party boy playing naked billiards and wearing a Nazi uniform than it would be to be like your moralizing aunt telling you that he's better than you. Okay, so, but people get tired of that too. So let's look at we'll just do a mini, we'll look at Harry's obsession with George and his shelf life. What, is that true? Because it rings true. Let's just see what the cards want to tell us. All the people. Okay. Behind. That's behind. Decisions. Again, all the people. He's very concerned about his public image. All things, must planting anew. Okay. Rulers. And big change. Yeah. Yeah, so this is just situation. All right, not a lot of people here. We have a Jack of Diamonds, we have a ruler, we have this hiding on the bottom. Mother Earth can be just the situation itself. This Mother Earth is pregnant. You can see that she has a baby in her womb. And she has a tree. She's Mother Earth, so she has a tree growing in her womb. So that's a very fruitful environment. Keeping a good environment to grow into the future. Let's read it. Okay, so all the people, and very actively what needs to be done now, the four-leaf clover and handcuff. Committed to doing what really needs to be done in front of all the people to keep it going. He wants to continue to be an active royal, which is interesting because he stepped away from the royal family. And he's anything but royal now. He's a royal attacker. He's somebody who just throws mud at the royals. So at this time in the past, he was all about staying relevant. This says staying relevant and in the news and in your face, actively in front of the world. 12, 3 spades, and really just working it out. And player thinking up schemes and making plays like he did Invictus, and that was incredibly successful for Harry, and that kind of became his brand. He branded himself 2 ways. One, as a military veteran. Okay, 10 years. 10 years is a long time, and you got to give him credit for that. Anybody does anything for 10 years. I mean, look at the workforce. How many of you have stayed with the same employer for 10 years? Okay, and if you're in software, it's like a year and a half on average, and they just switch and switch and switch throughout their career, and they just keep going like this. And they never stop moving and switching, these software people. I'm a CPA, so I worked in the federal government for 25 years. But those days are gone where you work for the same employer. People generally switch jobs. And I did dozens of jobs in the federal government, dozens and dozens. And I worked for 5 different federal agencies. So I also moved around and switched and went to the better areas. And that's unusual in the federal government. Most people just get into an agency and just stay there forever and just grit it out. So he was very interested in being relevant. He's making plays. Decisions were on his mind about, it's all about how can he stay relevant in the world in front of all the people. All things, money and all things. Mustard seed, planting new seeds. So he was looking for new things to make him relevant. That's Invictus. Hopes and fears, staying royal. He hoped to stay relevant and royal. And at the end, big changes were occurring. So was this his obsession? Okay, was he possessed by these thoughts? He did think about this a lot, and he was very actively working it out. He wanted to stay royal. It's so interesting how it's turned out for him, because he went the opposite direction. So he really did work very hard at being relevant. He was worried about it. Let's look at his relationship with George. Okay, because in the olden days, it would be common for someone in Harry's position to kill off all the heirs between him and William. That's not uncommon, so that he could be king. Okay, does Harry harbor direct animosity towards little George? I think George is 9 now, which he's growing up pretty fast. Does he look at George and think, I hate you, George? Or George is just, it's luck of the draw, man. You're just the first child of William. And then the next two are, Charlotte and Philip, and they're all before Harry. So does he take it personally? Let's look at Harry and George, because Harry seemed good with the kids. Was he like, oh, I hate this kid? Harry, because of the resentment. Meghan looks like that with Kate. She looks at her with jealousy and hatred. And this is George. Okay, so Harry, does he look at George with hatred and envy and jealousy? The situation is good in front of the world on an ongoing basis. 25, 7 hearts. No, there's no jealousy showing here. There's no hatred. There's no animosity for Harry towards George. Okay, he's not feeling, it's not personal. It's just George is in that position. Okay, George is a person, but he holds a position in the line of succession. So he doesn't personally have an issue with little George. What about George? There is a conflict there. He needs to make decisions about the conflict and the royal family, the family tree. 8, 14, 4 diamonds, 4 diamonds. So there's a conflict in the structure of the relationship. And interestingly, the small child, George, seems more aware of it than Harry. Planting and, mustard seed in the home. The mustard seed is the seed that grows into the largest tree. 5, 2 hearts. So it's a close relationship, and that seed will grow and grow. And it's true, the closer George gets to the age of majority, which is 18, he's going to get interested in girls. He's going to play soccer. And when he does these things, people are going to be very interested, because George is the future king. And the more active and the more individualized George becomes as a person, because that's what happens when you grow up. You become more and more of an individual until you're out on your own. And the more that happens, the more interesting George will be to the public. And that absolutely could overshadow Harry. But the good news is Harry doesn't have any personal animosity towards George. But George is aware of the issue. He recognizes his position and that there's a bit of a conflict there. That's interesting. Did Harry and Meghan already buy a property in Hope Ranch? Because they would buy through a trust or a straw buyer, or through a lawyer. So and like Disney did this. They snapped up all that land in Florida when they were building Disney down there, and they did it all through lawyers and trusts. So people weren't like, oh, is that Disney? We're going to double the price, like that. And that's very common for wealthy people. People like you and me, we just buy in our own name and nobody knows who I am, So did they already buy in Hope Ranch? And all this protestation. We don't want you, Harry and Meghan. You're going to bring the circus. It doesn't matter. It's too late. You know, did they already buy in Hope Ranch? Oh, we have a yes. We have a yes. All right, so Scourge and yes, 12 and 10, 22. 6 diamonds. Okay, yes can mean yes, or it can mean just very important. Conflict, they're working very hard, and it's a lot of conflict, and this is very important. 19, 20, I don't know. That's hard to read. The sticks might come out here. Let's see. Money, the card of money. Ongoing, trying to keep a good image, or for the children. Ruler, man and man. I don't know. All right. I don't know. Let's do the sticks here. Yes, we have yes. We have no. We have yes and no. So, let's just ask. Did they already buy in Hope Ranch? Harry and Meghan. Hail Mary. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Hail Mary, full of grace. The Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for me, a sinner, now and at the hour of death. Of my death. Did they already buy in Hope Ranch? Yeah, this says they already bought in Hope Ranch. I hope you can see that. I can't see, when I do that, I can't see the screen. So, yes, they did. Which that was my suspicion, that they would have already purchased in Hope Ranch. So what are we seeing? They were working on this for a long time. They were really, and this is another work card, just really hashing it out, really, you know, putting in the effort, thinking about it. This is like a really big decision for them. So yeah, they already did. They really worked hard on it, and they really finally chose Hope Ranch. Like, we really want to live there, and now nobody wants them there. So underneath, they really just want a good reputation there, and they want everything to work out. And it's all about, they worked really hard to find this place, and they really did the work before choosing it and looked at a lot of places. And now they're just underneath, they're just disappointed that they're already not having good relationships there. That's what the cards are saying. Did Meghan steal or plagiarize her experience about the naked Korean thing? Because her mother was not there, and she also said that she went there repeatedly with her mother. Her mother was not around. Her mother was not around at all for 10 years, and she was living with her father. So during that period, so from the age of 8 to 18, she was living with her father. Her mother only was raising her until about the age of 8. So puberty, 12, 13 years old, when she's becoming a woman, she was living with her father and not her mother. And her mother was not around. She was either in prison or down in Mexico smoking pot. And, you know, taken ayahuasca with her shaman. I keep saying shaman because I believe that there's a lot of allegations that she was living with a shaman in Mexico somewhere. And they do that sort of thing in Mexico. They do all kinds of things in Mexico that they don't do here. So did Meghan steal or plagiarize her experience about the naked spa treatments? Did she plagiarize it? Because it sure looks like it. Yeah, there's a blockage. Oh, there's an ace of spades as well. Oh dear, look at that. Oh, just looking at this, yes, she definitely plagiarized it. Let's read the cards. Drawing from many sources, Trinity working together, everything, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, they work in perfect concert. So she's just researching. This is research, and she researches her own personal experiences and then just makes them up. Kind of like Brandon does. Brandon does that a lot. He claims a whole lot of things that are, and people are just calling him out like, no, that never happened, Brandon. And for Brandon, we say things like,
Well, his mental capacity is failing, and he's not all here. But for Meghan, we can't say that. We can't make that excuse because she's a young woman and her brain is obviously working very well. Blocked, and no, she got it from somewhere else. She drew it from various sources. No, she definitely, that's not her story. 6 and 9. Yeah, 3 hearts. And it just sounded good. It sounded good. She needed an anecdote, a funny, cute anecdote that was Asian, and then they ate noodles after, and that's what she chose, but that's not her real life. Strangely enough, 8 hearts, 3 spades. Well, okay, here we have, this is turning out to be a disaster because everyone fact checks Meghan. This story, Ace of Clubs, is a message or a document or a book or a legal document. This story came from outside and it's a disaster now. And this is transformed into a conflict. Water into wine. So this nice, cute little anecdote. And so I think what these cards are saying is Meghan thought nobody would check the anecdote. It's just a funny, cute anecdote. Oh, this is my personal experience. What a cute anecdote. That's not how people are taking it. They check it and they're like, no, that never happened. And now it's a PR disaster. Let's add this up. 18, 21, 29. 8 hearts. Yeah, 8 hearts. 8 hearts 2 times. So it's transformed into a disaster. So I really think she didn't give it much thought. I think, until she's like super famous. Now, as a Suits actress, she could get away with all of this and no one would ever question her. She just would have some sugars and they would be like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, we love you, Meghan. We love you. It's so cute. Well, now she really does have the world stage. And she doesn't just have sugars. She has a lot of people who are with pursed lips watching her very skeptical. And they're going to check. And so she has to switch it up. You got to switch it up, man. Because you're going to get caught every time now because the World Wide Web, they're checking. Is the constant racism narrative beginning to get tired? The boy who cried wolf. Okay, this is the little girl who cried wolf, and she's using the R word over and over and over. Is this really starting to work against them? Because I think it is. I mean, Meghan's not getting cast for anything. Oprah's kind of like disavowing her interview with them. I mean, people are distancing themselves from Meghan and Harry, and that's not a good look. You want them to be inviting you to the parties, and you're drinking the wine with them and eating the little snack things that you don't even know what the names are, and like, oh, that's so delicious, like that. You want that to be happening. You want to be going to their pool parties, and trying on your new bathing suit and rubbing elbows with all the fancy people. So is this racism narrative, is it finally really just beginning to blow back on her, on them? Woman making a play. Perfect image. Is the racism narrative still working out? So cross is permanent. This is permanent. The sevens return forever. The 6s are relationship. The number of the devil is 666. The number, if there is a number for God or Jesus, it would be 777. The 7s return endlessly. Okay, the cross is also burdens. But here, this is like permanence. There's nothing more permanent than the 7s. And this is how she's mastering the world. Okay, 20, 30, 8 diamonds. Money. This is how she masters the world. This is her work. So this is the work face that she presents. So what this is saying to me is people look at this and they say, it's not truth, it's like Meghan's truth. Okay, she's doing this. People realize that Meghan is presenting, constantly calling out racism because this is her work. It's like a job. She doesn't actually believe it. People are not buying the victim thing anymore. It's just, this is how she makes her money. by calling out, by making false accusations of racism, which that's pretty popular in society right now. Queen of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds. The woman is making a play, okay, like work. The player is a great work card. The fox is a great work card. The player just goes in there, does their thing, and walks away. It's like episodic TV. You know, you forget about it in 1 minute. But they did their thing. Oh, we have both the fox and the player. Decisions about the environment, manipulate. So it's all about, it's all about her having a perfect image. Okay, they're moralizing to you and me. They're better than you. They're moralizing at you. So, woman making decisions. I think she's beginning to realize that she needs to start taking a different path. She needs to start fixing this. Queen of Diamonds, 5 clubs. That's good. That's good. So she's self-aware enough that she can adjust. That's good, because I just don't think it's working. She realizes it's not working that well, and she's going to have to start mixing it up a little bit and doing some different things. Queen of Diamonds, 5 of Hearts, to keep her image properly. But people are just not buying it at all anymore. This is just public image, and no one is looking at Meghan, this very entitled person, this very privileged person, as a victim anymore. So what do we have? Was Harry obsessed? He was very, very aware of this fact that George was growing up and would overshadow him, and he was doing everything he could to continue to be relevant and making little plays here and there. So he was very aware, and it's fair to call it an obsession. Harry has no personal animus towards George, but interestingly, George, a small child, is slightly aware, because they have these very intelligent courtiers around them, advising them, whispering in their ears. So I'm sure that's what's going on. Did they already buy into Hope Ranch? They already got a property. Yes, they already have a property there. So you can complain as much as you want, you lovely people in Hope Ranch with your billions of dollars living in California, and talking about how, you know, the open border is someone else's problem, because none of them are getting into Hope Ranch. We should tell them to send some refugees to Hope Ranch and see how they like it. Did Meghan plagiarize her experience? Definitely. Definitely. And that speaks to character, and that's why it's important, and that's a PR disaster. Again and again and again, she's getting caught plagiarizing. And the racism narrative is getting tired, and even Meghan realizes she's going to have to switch it up a little bit. That's how I see it. I'm Joseph Magi, author of Playing Card Divination and Fortune Telling, the Magi Method. Like, share, and subscribe, please. Thank you.